Hello, it is 9 p.m. in Djibouti. It's time to English New Edition. For tonight headlines, we have the President of the Republic, Ismail Margele, in Addis Ababa at the 11th Authentic Summit of the African Union. Concerning international sin, Israel continues to kill Palestinians. Welcome to our newsrooms. The Ethiopian capitals of Addis Ababa hosted this morning, 2018, November 17, at the openings of the 11th Extraordinary Summit of the African Union for 2 days. The President of the Republic, His Excellency Ismail Margele, took part in this summit, which was co-chaired by the President of the African Union and President of Rwanda, Paul Kagame, and the Ethiopian Prime Minister Dr. Abiy Ahmed, African Head of State and Commission Chairman Musa Faki Mahamat also took part in agreeing on an institutional reforms project led by Paul Kagame. This reform notably involves the financial autonomy of the African Unions, so heads of state choose the proposal to collect 0.2% of eligible imports at the discretion of the member state to relieve national budget. To date, half of member states are the different degrees of implementation of this tax. The Republic of Djibouti is part of a small circle of African nations that have already complied with this anticipated reform for the African Union. Djibouti already submit to the payment of the contributions allocated to all member countries of the Pan-African organizations of 0.2% of the value of its imports. Djibouti also belong to nations that have immediately ratified the principles of free trade zones among all African Union member countries. In a word pronounced at the openings of this summit, the Rwandan President and President of the EU has the objective of this extraordinary summit, which is to strengthen relations between African countries and improve the futures. In an interview we had with the Djibouti's ambassador to Addis Ababa, Mr. Mohammed Idris Farah Abane, mentioned that this forum is about the reforms of African Union so that Africa is empowered on its own budget. On the mornings of Thursday, November 15, 2018, the Chief of the General Staff of the Armed Forces, Lieutenant General Zakaria Sheikh Ibrahim, accompanied by Brigadier General Tahir Ali Mohammed, Chief of Staff, the Forces of flew aboard helicopters to Ali Sabih, where communications deployment exercises, indeed as part of the ongoing trainings of the Djiboutian Armed Forces, newly recruited young recruits made a synthesis of achievement through radio exercise. As usual, on his descent from the helicopters, the CMGA was greeted by the Chief of the Ali Sabih Joint Battalions, Corps Colonel Abdul Wasi' bin Mohammed, the Prefect of the region, Mr. Mohammed Waberi Asowed, and General Zakaria Sheikh Ibrahim attended the review of the troops, then moved to the battalion's half of honor where Captain Syed Abdullahi Hussein, commanding officers, explained the deployment exercises, its configurations, and intended purpose for the trainer. Having an obvious overview, CMGA went on the file to attend the various workshops that included the practical exercise. The exercise taking place on several sites. The CMGA began its visit by the technical workshop. Then he attended the radio link which was going on between the various stations, which was at Ali Sabih's PC at the borders crossings of Asamo and Gestir. Since the year 2013, the PK12 cemetery has undergone a new development. This arrangement put in place by the Ministry of Muslim Affairs and Waqf has facilitated barriers on all fronts, but there are still obstacles in the road. Listen to this magazine. Since the year 2013, the PK12 cemetery has undergone a new development. This arrangement put in place by the Ministry of Muslim Affairs and Waqf has facilitated barriers on all fronts, but there are still obstacles in the road. As part of the cemetery management project, the government put in place measures to retain 400 francs of each employee. From this cemetery management project, the Djiboutian population encounters less difficulties, and the funeral is done in the well-organized state with the bulldozing arrangement. The concrete leads the tombs built in the brick already dug. In addition, the funeral work that took more than 6 hours currently lasts less than an hour and feasibly by 5 people. There are also solar poles for deaths that occurs in the evening. Therefore, the burial teams is available at any time. In case of death outside prior time, the mosque is available in the cemetery to celebrate the mortuary prayer. The organization of the burial is a great advantage for the facilitation of the tasks, but there are still some points not accomplished. We have seen from the National Road number 1 to the cemetery that work is not paved, and this causes traffic problems for vehicles. The establishment of trees for shelter from the summer sun would also be necessary. Regarding the problems of the road, we have already presented the project to the concerned ministry, and the work will start soon. But on the subject of the planting tree, we fear it for the safety of the graves because the roots of some trees are long and powerful. But now we want to plant small tree and at least some greenery. The main PK12 cemetery management elements set up by the Ministry of Muslim Affairs and Waqf have facilitated tasks of burial for the people of the Djibouti, but the unavailability of paved road is still an obstacle. On Friday, November 16, 2018, the Djiboutian Swimming Federation organized this year the opening of the National Swimming Championship in the historic town of Obok. On this occasion, a crowd of young and less composed swimmers and fishermen are massed at the stopovers to enjoy these shows that has become the rendezvous of the best swimmers in the Obok region. This year, the first day of the championship has a special test in this century. All the city. This sporting event coincided with the East African Championship, which was held and where the day before the best athletes and the Djiboutian champion, Mr. Hussein Jabir Ibrahim, the child of the city of Obok, was to represent his country by winning 2 bronze medals at first in the history of the Djibouti in swimming. The Obok peoples have massively mobilized and overheated this last good news thanks to the local authorities and in the place of the prefect of the region, Mr. Hassan Dabele, but also the National Navy, which offers its dogs for the conduct of the competitions, and the National Police, which ensure the security. The first days of the championship was a success. For his part, the president of the Djiboutian Swimming Federation, Mr. Ali Adabo, tells us more in this success also belong to the Regional Swimming League that the Djiboutian Swimming Federation has set up to decentralize its activity. Concerning international scene, the number of people listed as missing in a devastating northern California wildfires scared past 1,000 on Fridays at the remains of 8 additional victims were found by rescuers.
The 8 additional states of human remains found bring to 71 the total number of die from the so-called campfire, the deadliest and most destructive in California history. President Donald Trump is set to visit the region on Saturday to survive the damage and meet victims of the fire that has devoured an area roughly the size of Chicago.
This is it for tonight news. Thanks for watching us. Have a good evening.